And so with that, I'm going to pass over to the first of the more detailed talks, and that's Pam.
Right, well, good morning. So I'm going to be taking you through the ecology and looking at impacts on rivers, wetlands, and on the terrestrial ecology, focusing primarily on woodlands, not a thin line of trees at the end of the corner. Yes. Okay, so the river and the wetland work was done by CEH, by Mike, Cedric and James, and then in Oxford, in the ECI, we work primarily on woodlands and a little bit on wetlands. So starting off with the rivers, river organisms are sensitive to changing river hydraulics in a number of ways, particularly through changes in the physical characteristics of the habitat, through changes in things like depth and velocity, but also in terms of connectivity. Does the river remain connected? And so within Marius, what's being done is to have a look at how the mean depth of a river may relate to flow, using data from about 800 sites across England and Wales, and seeing when the depth might go below 10 centimetres, which is what we're taking as a possible threshold for the loss of connectivity of rivers, particularly important for larger organisms. And on the left-hand side of the diagram, you can see those catchments shown in red, where at least one site within that catchment, the river depth went below 10 centimetres during the 1976 drought. On the right-hand side, it's where the model has been run using the Marius event sets, and it shows probability sort of distribution of the potential loss of connectivity. And you can see from the sort of baseline through to the near future in the middle and the far future at the bottom, how there is an increasing potential for fragmentation of rivers, and this may be due either to increased frequency of river flow dropping below 10 centimetres or the number of sites with flows below 10 centimetres increasing. So for river habitats, there's an increasing possibility of sensitivity to loss of connectivity and fragmentation. For wetlands, CEH have their wetland tool, which they have modified particularly to look at the impacts of drought, duration, intensity and frequency on a range of habitat types across England and Wales. And on this slide, you can see the potential increase in sensitivity to drought in fen meadows, in this case one in East Anglia. And you'll notice, shown by the tall blue bar, that already at baseline conditions, this habitat is already sensitive or marginal due to lack of water availability. And as you move into the future, shown by the yellow and pink histograms, you can see how this is going to become increasingly threatened as a result of loss of water table depth to sustain this habitat, and therefore this indicates the need for potential increase in management. We've also looked at potential natural vegetation using a dynamic global vegetation model, and here you can see how, as you move through into the future, you've got the potential loss of lowland beech woodland in the lowlands, pine woodland up in Scotland, and an increased potential for a move from mixed deciduous woodland to upland oak woodland at higher elevations. Underpinning this is looking at how a number of tree species might change across the 19 river basins in England, Scotland and Wales, so it is Great Britain, and it's just showing the biomass of individual species as a percentage of the total biomass in that catchment. And what essentially is shown here is by the 2080s, then you've got the potential increase of biomass of English oak and other oaks, and in Scotland, in the Scottish catchments, a decrease of biomass of species like downy birch and Scots pine. And finally, just to showcase the other thing, we've been looking at drought mortality, and this shows the potential vulnerability of a range of tree species across Great Britain. And I think the common feature of all these results is the potential for increased vulnerability, not surprisingly, in southern and eastern areas of England, but very much differential responses across the country based on species. And so these results hopefully can be used to understand a bit more about the changing woodland dynamics and possible changes in woodland composition in response to future drought.
Thank you.